It's finally that time of year again. High school football is back across southern Idaho. I am Brevin Monroe.
And I'm Devin Serta, and welcome to this mini edition of Friday Night Blitz. Brevin, you were right here in town. So let's just go ahead and start with the Twin Fall Bruins and the Sandpoint Bulldogs.
Bulldogs, but that's all right. Hey, I got you there. Hey, Twin Falls taking on those Bulldogs after they made that 10-hour trek down. Second quarter here, Bruins on the goal line. Ty Hess takes the snap and hits Bryce Nielsen, who mosses his defender for the first touchdown pass of the season. Then, though, Sandpoint, on their next drive, they're going to try to respond. This is a key third down for the Dogs. Camden Richter has other plans, flying off the edge for the sack there. Sandpoint would punt, but nothing doing on the Twin Falls drive. The next Sandpoint drive, though, the QB keeper from Brandon Buckhout, he's big game hunting there. Sandpoint takes a 7-6 lead on a made extra point. How would Twin Falls respond? Ty Hess striking again to Adam DeWitt, this time on the slant, and Adam can run all day long here as he scores the touchdown. Twin is going to end up going for two after that first missed extra point, and on the conversion, Ty Hess keeps this one himself, and he's going to get his way in there. It's 14-7 Bruins at the half. Unfortunately, they'd allow 14 fourth quarter points and fall in overtime by just one in this one, 28-27. And staying here over in Twin Falls, but over to Canyon Ridge. Emmett, they were in town tonight, and they're up 10-6 when we arrived. The Huskies quarterback here, he can use his feet in this one. It looks like we're having a little bit of some technical difficulties. There we go. The Canyon Ridge Riverhawks and Emmett here in this one. Emmett was up 10-6 when we arrived. The Huskies quarterback, he can use his feet in this one. Eli Brennan, the quarterback, keeps it himself on the third down, stays in bounds as well, and puts his team up on the scoreboard 17-6. Canyon Ridge needs a response, and they'd get one here as Grant Hales finds Thel Austin on a slant route, and he's got nothing but daylight ahead of him as well for the Canyon Ridge tutty. Then, on that next Emmett drive, Brennan, he's going to lead his boys right back down the field. He finds Scott Brady on a 4th and goal, and he just breaks the plane there. Emmett was up 24-6 at the halftime break. Then, in the third, CR starting with the ball. Hales running for his life back there behind the line. Cue the circus music, and then he finds his receiver. It's Austin again. Through all that, for their second connection of the night, the Huskies led 24-12 at that point. Emmett would go on to hand CR their first loss of the season in a 30-18 road victory.
And moving on over to, we have the Skyview Hawks open up the 2025 season at home, facing off against the Minico Spartans. And these guys were definitely Spartan tough. Minico was up 24-0 at the half. And Skyview quarterbacks Trevin Plow is going to try to get his boys back into the game. Plow is going to fire this one to Jackson Phillips, and he's going to go ahead, shake that tackle off, and he's going to jet down the sideline, and he's going to take it inside the 20 before getting taken down. The Hawks get into the goal line, and Plow tries to make things going for his own, and he's going to bowl his way down into the end zone and hit that money man's out. And these men were hyped. Now, they were trying to a little bit backed out in their own end zone. Plow's trying to make something happen, and the big man, Brian Flouter, gloves it out, and he's going to go ahead and take it into the end zone for that pick.
As Minico wins that one 37-13. We're not done, though, yet tonight, Devin.
Unfortunately, we are not done, but coming up, we have another more of a mini blitz from highlights from Wendell, Filer, Oakley, just coming up next. All right, welcome back to the mini blitz edition of Friday Night Blitz. The Wendell Trojans went ahead and squared up against the Filer Wildcats earlier today. Let's go ahead and take a look at how that went. It was the Wildcats offense that showed up and showed out, and it was quite easy for Phoenix Gutierrez with a flick off the wrist to get this one to running back Ricky Cardenas, and Wildcats went ahead and striked first. And it was a lot of jumping on the celebrations today. Gutierrez is going to go ahead and with the keeper, and he's going to go ahead and show off that speed with those wheels, and he's going to take it straight to the house. 6 more on the board for the Wildcats. And everyone was so hyped. It was such a great atmosphere to be at. Gutierrez again, he's going to go ahead and step back, launches this one deep, and he's going to go ahead and find wide receiver Chase Matson. And that's going to be another Wildcat touchdown. You can see there's a trend going on here with the touchdowns. Gutierrez again to wide receiver Waylon Weaver on a toss, and he's going to go ahead and run and weave on through to make it into the end zone. The Filer Wildcats win the first game of the season, 61-0.
61-0. Now down to some 8-man ball in 2A as the Oakley Hornets hosted the Grace Grizzlies, looking for some revenge from last year. The Grizzlies, though, got off to a blazing start in the first quarter of this one. Senior quarterback Gavin Draper finds wide receiver Cade Kimball wide open deep to put the Grizzlies right up against the end zone. Then, to cap off this drive, Draper hands it to the running back Carter Kimball, who pushes his way into the end zone for the score. But the Hornets, they're not going to go down without a fight, especially on their home turf in this one. In this one, Jonathan Harris takes this kickoff return deep, deciding to take it out, try his luck at the slots. In this one, it pays off. Harris finds some space there before cutting back the Hornets sideline, finding the lane, but that ensuing drive would not produce any points for Oakley as the Grizzlies offense was just too much for the Hornets to handle in this first half. 30 points scored to the Hornets 0. This one was all Grizzlies as Grace picks up a massive 52-6 win over the Hornets. So really some close games these last two we've had. Elsewhere in 3A, Declo headed out to Teton tonight to face the T-Wolves, but unfortunately they suffered loss number 1 on the year in a 33-12 defeat. Declo has their home opener next Friday night against Nampa Christian.
And that's not all for the Week 0 games, because we have 2 more games on tap that I'm going to be on site first. First, we have Logos Knights headed to Hagerman for a top 5 matchup with the Pirates in a matchup of the state semifinals team from last year. And then later in that evening, we have the Fruitland Grizzlies traveling up to the Kimberly for another top 5 matchup, this time in 4A. Both these squads split their 2 meetings last year, but Kimberly eventually got the last laugh, ending the Grizzlies seasons. Highlights for both will be right here on KMVT.
And yeah, definitely that'll do it for our our Week 0 so far. What were your kind of impressions of the first week of not full week, but first week of Idaho high school football?
Yeah, I mean everyone's very involved and very bought in with the high school football here. Obviously not as big as Texas, but for the community to show up and it become the biggest thing
for
here
a couple hours for sure.
For coming out here on a Friday night, it was absolutely awesome. Everyone there was great.
Awesome.
So definitely excited to come out tomorrow.
And thank you everyone for tuning in. Of course, we're going to be back here next weekend every Friday night throughout the football season with more highlights on Friday Night Blitz. So we're going to be back here again 10 o'clock next Friday night. Be sure you tune in. Thanks so much for watching.